Good morning or afternoon or evening to you guys, and here we are in February. In light of what we've recently been having on some of our Sunday morning group flights, there's been some questions raised on the use of engine anti-ice. So I just come up with this tutorial just to try and assist and help anybody in determining on how and when to use it. So how do we determine whether we need engine anti-icing? First of all, we go to the ATIS or to some other means to try and find out the temperature of the airfield, and here we can see it's 6 degrees. So this is a relatively easy determination here. Part of the requirements is any precipitation or visible moisture. So here you can see it's raining, but there's other satisfactory items or unsatisfactory items, sleet, fog under 1 mile, and some other conditions. So as long as it's 10 degrees or less, engine anti-icing is required. There will be a picture coming up here with some of the written descriptions of what I'm saying, so you can either take a screenshot of it or just stop it and then copy it down. Here is a copy of our operations manual that we used to have for guidelines and for the operation of it, of course. Highlighted there, icing conditions exist when the outside air temperature on the ground for takeoff or TAT in flight is 10 degrees or below 10 degrees C. Visible moisture in any form is present, such as clouds, fog, with visibility of 1 mile or less, rain, sleet, rain, snow, sleet, and or ice crystals. So as we have seen from the requirements for applying the engine anti-ice, this is satisfied because of the visible rain and the other conditions. Now, in the event of it not raining, are there any requirements to satisfy engine anti-ice? So this will be now on the second picture here. Here is the second highlighted section. So in the event of no visible moisture or precipitation, icing conditions also exist when the outside air temperature, also sometimes known as the SAT, the static air temperature, guys, when the outside air temperature on the ground and for takeoff is 10 degrees or below, when operating on ramps, taxiways or runways where the runway surface snow, ice, standing water or slush, which may be ingested by the engines or freeze on engines, nacelles or engine sensors. So those can be the secondary reasons for the engine anti-ice. Here I've turned off the rain within the simulator, but just to let you have a look around. So if these were the conditions, there you are, I can see some standing water in front of me. So as far as the requirement, we're less than 10 degrees. Down here saying 6. And we've got standing water, so that would be a requirement for engine anti-icing. So whenever you start the engine, immediately after starting the engine, that's when the anti-ice switch goes on. Now, in the event of there being no water on the runway, no water on the tarmac, no standing water, none of the requirements there, but you go into clouds at say 1,000 feet, you're quite entitled to go with no anti-ice up until 1,000 feet, but you're kind of busy. 1,000 feet, you're on ATC, you're bringing the gear up, you're watching for the flaps to come up, so it's easily forgotten. So you can put on the engine anti-ice if you anticipate that very shortly you're going into a cloud bank with temperature less than 10 degrees. So here we are, just coming up to 16,000 feet. In the simulator I set the tops of the clouds. I set the clouds at overcast from 1,000 to 17,000 feet, and then we're going to have some clouds further up. So as you can see here, we're more or less just reaching the top of the clouds. You don't have to wait until you're totally clear of the cloud layer, but rather than switching it on and off as you're going through each little bank, just wait your time. You're quite okay. And as we can see here, we're down to yeah, we're minus 6 degrees still, minus 7 now as the aircraft is climbing. There you are. So that looks pretty good. So to me now, I would consider that safe to start looking at taking the engine anti-ice off. So there we go. Yes, as you can see in the front there, we're looking pretty well clear now. So I was asked this the other day. Once you're up in the gin clear air and still climbing, do the clouds beneath you have any effect? So basically think about it, if those clouds were raining, are we being rained on? So no, we're not. So the clouds below you have no effect. You only need the engine anti-ice on the immediate vicinity to the aircraft. Oh, I just realised that you just turned off the engine anti-ice. Normal convention is whenever you turn the engine anti-ice on or off once you're airborne, not so much when you're on the ground, but whenever you do it when you're airborne, turn on the igniters. That's so that in the event of, if there wasn't any, like now if I wanted to put the engine anti-ice on, I'd have the igniters there, so that in the event of a flame out, when the engine anti-ice comes on and it loosens up a bunch of ice into the engine, the igniters keep the engine running. Let it run for 10-15 seconds with the igniters, and then you can turn the igniters off. But that's the same for engine anti-ice on and engine anti-ice off. So basically, sorry guys, it's do as I say, not as I do. I'll try to remember it for in the future. Oh. And there we are. In standard, there we go. Missed that. Concentrating on the weather and resetting the cloud layers. So here we are, just gone through flight level 250, climbing 370. We're at minus 16, but we still satisfy the engine anti-ice. So that's engine anti-ice on. But now we have another requirement. Given this one, once we've reached minus 60 in cruise, minus 40, I beg your pardon, minus 40 in cruise or in climb, you can turn off the engine anti-ice, because now any water molecules out there, they're considered sufficiently crystalline enough that they won't stick to any engine part. So I was just about caught that. So we're going through flight level 270. Now we've got the minus 40 for the static air temperature or outside air temperature. So now we can turn off the engine anti-ice. Unfortunately it came too quickly, so that one thing after another there, but you'll be able to see what I'm saying. Okay, I'm going to bring up a third page now as far as our aircraft manual, so that you'll be able to see what I'm referring to here. So this is for in the cruise and in the climb. But in descent it's a different story, and we'll see this on this page. So here is the third page, and you'll notice that the under nacelle anti-ice I've highlighted it there. So this is the -40 option we was talking about. Nacelle anti-ice must be on during all ground and flight operations when icing conditions exist or are anticipated, like we were speaking on before the takeoff. Except during climb and cruise when the temperature is below -40 degrees C, static air temperature, or outside air temperature, it's the same thing. Nacelle anti-ice must be on prior to and during descent in all icing conditions, including temperature below 40 degrees C. So as it stands at the moment, the simulator is set to have us in clear sky at 370, but I will change it for us to be in cloud. So immediately from top of descent, we have to have engine anti-icing on because of this requirement here. If it was, I think I got it set to 350 for the tops of the cloud. So if that was the actual case, you can have engine anti-ice off until you get to 350, then you have to have it on to satisfy that -40 requirement on descent in all icing conditions. Oh, very good. Let me just see here. We're just approaching 350. That's where I've got the clouds disappearing. So as far as temperature, it's -28, so it's 10 degrees or less. That is fine. That would be an engine anti-ice requirement, but seeing as we are cooler than -40, there we go, we're okay. So we do not need any engine anti-ice, plus the fact we're now coming into the clear anyway. So I'll let us go. So very good. So we're through 36, 370, and theoretically we should be in the June clear here, so we will not need any engine anti-icing anyway. So what I'm going to do now is to now adjust the clouds so that we are in the thick of it, and seeing as we're below the 10 degrees, that's a engine anti-ice requirement, but we're below 40 degrees, that cancels the engine anti-ice. So as long as we're in cruise or in climb, we're okay. But as soon as we start to descend, that's when we need engine anti-ice. I've adjusted the cloud levels, so it's just slightly above us. I think I set it to 380, so we're just going in and out of clouds. But while we're in cruise, it's okay. The tide temperature is asking for engine anti-ice, but the static air temperature is less than -40, so no engine anti-ice is required. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to set up a descent. Remember what that restriction said? On descent you have to have engine anti-ice on. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to engine anti-ice igniters on, and then engine anti-ice on, and now we're going to descend, vertical speed, and now I'm going to dial in the vertical speed. So that satisfies now the requirement of engine anti-ice. There you are, thrust levers are coming back. So as we can see, we're still cooler than -40, but the descent instruction says you need engine anti-ice on all temperatures coming down. So hopefully, guys, I haven't confused you too much, but you might be able to figure it out. Now, what I've given you now is basically the full-blown deal. It's hard enough in the flight simulator when one guy's flying the aeroplane and really it's a 2 or a 3-man job, because all three of us would know what these are the requirements. But so there's always somebody there to help you. So I guess basically the outcome of it is whenever the temperature on the TAT, that's this one down here, is less than 10 degrees or less, I always start thinking engine anti-ice. If you can incorporate this minus 40, I'll get it right in a minute, 60, 50, 40. If you can remember that is a satisfactory requirement. Now these are the general conventions within engine anti-ice. And the igniters, I was telling you, some people, they don't bother with igniters, some people leave the igniters on all the time the engine anti-ice is on. So there isn't any convention for that. But I'm just try to give you a generic overlook on engine anti-ice. So, I wish you all the very best, guys, and I hope you got something out of this.
1,000 to go.
Leave any comments in the comments down below if you want anything raised or looked at, or if you disagree, and just generally any of your comments, gentlemen, or ladies and gentlemen. So take care now, and bye bye from me.